financials yesterday, and in order to give everyone an opportunity to look them over, um, I'm going to share. Do I need to share them, or do I need to share my screen, or try to? I
Uh,
know Ms. McDonald can't see anything, but um,
I'm pretty well fine if you just want to, because I have them up in on my computer. So
oh, okay. Well, the insofar the first report I wanted to discuss was the appropriation status. Um, we should be looking at about in terms of year-to-date expenditures, we should be looking at about 16.5% of the budget expended. You can see in the far right-hand column that most of the percentages are below or around 16%. We have some that are higher, but they basically represent expenditures that we typically front load basically once the budget is approved. Mr. Cooper buys up enough supplies to carry the department for a good portion of the year, and so we do a lot of stocking up.
mhm.
uh, One thing you might also take note of are the medical expenses, which are uh, according to the budget somewhere around 20%. The reason they're running ahead of budget is because at the end of the year, or sometime around the middle of the year, the library is given what are called premium holidays.
Mhm.
And for the last 4 years or so, we've been given premium holidays for 2 to 3 months. So basically, what that means is that for a selected period of time, we're not responsible for paying medical insurance. So generally, what happens is that by the end of the year, the percentages kind of align themselves with the budget. Right now, it looks like we're running ahead of budget, but once those premium holidays kick in and we don't pay for the medical insurance for 2 to 3 months, everything kind of settles back down to where it's supposed to be.
Mhm. Okay.
So, um, so this is the appropriation status uh, for at the end of the our total year-to-date expenditures for the general fund are running at 16.054%. And as I said, 16% or 16.5% would represent um, uh, 2 months or 1/6 of the year, 1/6 of the year or 1/6 of the budget.
Mhm. Okay.
So I'm going to move on to the next report, bank reconciliation. I'm going to just move this. Come on now. This thing doesn't want to move.
You happy you're not sharing your screen now?
Huh? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not. Well, we have reconciled balances of 1,482,541.98, and so we're reconciled through February.
Okay.
Um, no issues, no issues as far as that goes. The third report, cash summary by fund, basically kind of outlines the same thing. Our reconciled balance is 1,482,000. Basically shows revenue expenditures by fund, total revenue, total expenditures by fund for the year to date, and gives a cash fund balance at the end. So,
Mr. Cockfield,
yes,
I'm looking at the reconciliation notes, and it
okay,
says deposit entered at $683.78. Bank would not accept loose change and accepted a deposit of $674.
Right.
So what is the policy with the loose change, or what do you do with that?
Well, what's happened is that because of the COVID, the bank does not want to take any loose change and count anything behind the counter or behind the window.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did, we actually booked the deposit at $683.78. Since they wouldn't accept any loose change, they only deposited $674.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to make an adjusting entry of $9.78 in order to reconcile everything. And
Okay.
the adjusting entry was made in March, so it showed up as a reconciling note in February.
Okay.
So what'll happen is that in March, it'll balance itself out. When we do
Mhm.
March bank rec, that 978 will wash out.
Okay.
But you're asking about the policy. I guess we don't really have a policy about loose change. We try to get everything out of here.
Right.
So they don't want to take it. They won't take it, or they won't take.
So
They
how
won't.
much loose change do you keep on site for change for the front desk, for the copier machines? How much loose
$30.
change you keep on property?
Yeah, we just hang on to $30 up front.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of an ongoing. It's just. Yeah, I mean, we hang on to $30.
Right. Okay.
But the change, the change that comes out of the, cash register.
Mm-hmm.
We try to get that out. But Ms. Chambliss explained to me that what she was doing was taking, say, maybe half. What do you call it? The coin wrappers were not completely full.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being the case, they'll take completed coin wrappers, but they won't take partial
Okay.
coin wrappers.
So you just got to make sure that the coin wrappers are complete when you
Yeah,
turn
completely full, and they'll
deposit.
take those.
Okay.
Well, that brings up, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
To Mr. Cockfield, that comes back to the new print and copy center. Will they have options for credit card on those machines? Are we speaking that out?
Yes, they will have options. Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of the things that popped into my head earlier this afternoon was whether or not we should be charging sales tax on any transactions. I called OLC. The guy that I talked to, he said off the top of his head he didn't think that we would be required to charge sales tax, but he's looking into it further, and he'll get back to me on that.
Yeah, from my experience at Cleveland Public, it's when we purchase things from third parties and we resell, we had to charge sales tax. That was like floppy disk or things that we would sell in the computer lab to support people, things like that. But our services that we provided, there's a fee attached to it. We did not have sales tax, but I don't know if things have changed on that, but that's from what I remember.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want that to, kind of come up and bite us unexpectedly. So I wanted to make sure that we wouldn't be, we're not liable.
Okay.
We're not liable for sales tax. As a matter of fact, he emailed me back asking me if we had a vendor's license. I told him no. So he's looking into it.
Well, I would also, as far as the copy center, I think keep the option open for cash as well as credit card would probably be a good option. Because I know with some of the places like Staples and other that they want to use a credit card and Office Max, that kind of dissuades a lot of people because they encumber, I think, $5 or more on a credit card until you finish the transaction. So, like I said, unless you're doing a whole lot of paperwork, credit card may be feasible. But if you're only doing a handful of copies, then just using coins would be a lot simpler and a lot easier for people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts about that, Mr. McDonald? Can you hear?
No, I don't. I can hear you. It just takes me time to come off of mute and
Okay.
then speak. But no, yep, I'm following you and everything is fine.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, you want to go ahead to your next
Okay.
report, Mr. Cockfield?
The next report is a payment listing. It just basically shows all of the checks that were prepared for the month of February, and those that are cleared carry a C next to them, and those that are outstanding carry a little O. So the final report is a revenue status, and it shows year-to-date revenue by account. And as you can see, in terms of our general property tax revenue, we received approximately 48% of the revenue for the year. We've received 2 advances and one settlement. The settlement was received in March. And then we'll receive another advance, or a couple more advances, and another settlement in the second half of the year. So 48% of our real estate or our property tax revenue has been received, and 20% of our PLF revenue has been received.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that completes the financial statements.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
No, I think that's pretty well. You did a pretty good job. I think everything seems to be moving according to what our projections are. And
Yeah. No,
so
we're good.
nothing out of the ordinary is sticking up. So
No, we're in a good place.
yeah. So I'm very happy with your with the executive team's management of financial affairs, and thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the next item, internal control policy.
Yes, you had asked me earlier about where we stood with that, and I'm going to just try to bring it up because I know that there was something you had mentioned that I quite frankly have forgotten what it was off the top of my head, but
yeah, and it kind of escapes me at the moment too. So
yeah, but it was something that was relevant, something that needed to be in there that I added. But I don't know what it was.
I do remember we did not want it to be part of the manual
Right.
operation.
Yeah, it's going to be internal only, so not available for public consumption. Yep. But it was something else that we wanted to make sure that we addressed. I have to go back through my notes and see if I can remember what it was. But I over the course of the weekend, I'm gonna get a chance to review it, spend some time to go through it.
I'm trying to kind of breeze through it to see if it pops out. But
Ms. McDonald, have you had an opportunity to review the internal control policy yet?
Yes, I did look at it.
Okay. Did you have any concerns or anything that you had questions about?
No, not actually. I think it was one thing, but again, because, being in the situation I'm at with, on the road and everything, I can't recall it.
Mm-hmm.
But for right now, it's not an egregious concern or anything like that.
Okay.
I think, Mr. Silver, it had to do with donations and grants.
Right, the donations from the donate button on the website.
So I do have a question. So how is this attached to all the other social media sources that we have so that we can increase our funding?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question, please? How does the internal control policy?
Yes, when it comes to our social media activity in regards to maybe privacy concerns and different things like that, and individuals who may want to claim these donations on their taxes.
Well, what we do, once the say if you donate through our website, we receive notification of the donor, and Mr. Latimer in turn will send a letter back out to whoever's made the donation, a thank you note for the donation. And to answer your question maybe more specifically, I don't know if we're including the amount of the donation in the response, but we are? Okay. Well, then that would be the record.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so how much do you have a total for what we've done so far? Did I see somewhere like 500 or something amount in individuals unrestricted? Would that be that category, or do you have another separate category that you show from the donation?
We don't break it out. We don't break it out like that. And you're asking how much did we receive through the website itself?
Yep.
I can get you that number, but it's not shown on the financial statements
Okay.
as detailed as that.
Okay.
It's
We
just
do
shown.
keep it- I'm sorry. We do keep the manual file of those donations, those letters that go out. Mr. Turner keeps those in his executive files.
Mhm.
So when that information is requested, we can put it in a spreadsheet quarterly and share it with the board.
I think that would be helpful. Yeah.
We can print it out of PayPal.
Okay.
Yeah, because all the donations flow through PayPal.
Okay.
So we can get a PayPal report if necessary.
Okay. We
Now, these are specific donations that actually come through the website. Now, any other donations, say if someone walks in the library and writes a check, that would be something else, but it all flows into the same account.
Right.
Yeah, we had a lady send us $5 from the Christmas. It was in a Christmas card that was sent out in December. We just received it in the U.S. mail maybe a week ago.
Hey, you see, we were on her mind, so that's a good thing.
It came from East Cleveland resident, and
Okay.
I don't know how it took so long, but she could have just walked it down the street to us.
Well, that's good, because I know one thing that my intent is to do is I'm gonna add the link onto my LinkedIn page. I'm gonna post that link on there and kind of pass it out through my network on LinkedIn. So, okay. So I think we pretty well covered the internal control policy. We'll just keep that just an ongoing update and review. So
Now, do you want to formally present it to the board and have the board individually review it? I mean, the board members individually review it, or how did you want to handle that?
I don't have no problem with that. Mr. McDonald, what's your thought about it? You think that you have any problem with doing that?
No, that's absolutely fine with me.
Okay, well, you can go ahead and distribute it to the other board members.
Okay, I'll print it out then. Okay.
Okay. Well, the only one that really needs to be printed out for is Mr. O'Mays. I think everybody else will be fine with the digital copy.
Right. Well, I'll have it distributed. I'll do that. I'll do that first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, next item, new business, resolution 301, 2021 to accept alternative tax resolution. You want to kind of go over that a little bit?
Yes. Every year, what we're supposed to do is to submit a budget request to the school board, and they in turn forward that request to the county budget commission. And essentially what we're doing is asking, based on our tax millage and our PLF PLF revenue. We're basically asking that the commission approve X number of dollars for the East Cleveland Library.
Mhm.
This is kind of rubber stamped. I mean, it's not. It's a formality that we have to go through. It's not that they won't do it, but again, it's something that we have to do.
Okay. Okay. All right. And last levy, I hear the last levy authorized for the voters was back in 2007. So we have 1993, 2002, and 2007.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we can.
And the just so you know, Mr. Silvera, on that particular page, the 968,000 is gross revenue, or would be gross collections based on that millage.
Right.
Our collection percentage is roughly 82%.
Mm-hmm.
So we get about 82% of that number on an annual basis.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, this is Finance Committee. With your concurrence, Mrs. McDonald, we'll move it to the full board for vote.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I said with your concurrence, we'll move that resolution to the board meeting for approval to accept the tax budget. I couldn't hear you. Did you say okay?
I did. Okay, I concur.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The next item is the presidential letters. I don't know, Ms. McDonald, if you were kind of privy to some of this. We have a collection of presidential letters from a number of different presidents. Mr. Latimer, you want to kind of give us a brief overview of what the collection consists of and the communication you've had regarding the collection?
Yes. Years ago, there was a former board member of the library who served, I believe on the school board, library board, was a long time resident of East Cleveland. He donated before he passed away. He donated presidential letters of I think some of the 19th century presidents. I don't have them by name. These letters are considered rare document manuscripts. They have a high value of worth value to the community. There is a company that deals with rare books and rare artifacts, rare materials. Over the years, have reached out to East Cleveland Public Library to see if the library is willing to put those rare materials up for sale. During the time, and I don't have the exact timeline, when the administration was changing, the board was changing out. 4 directors ago, Mr. Reese decided for safekeeping to partner with the Cleveland Art Museum as a safe holder for those rare materials. Since I've been a director the past year, I will say 1 year interim, it'll be 2 years in June. We have not done a wellness check. There hasn't really been any movement around the board on what to do with those letters. However, I did receive a communications from a gentleman, which I did forward over to Gerald. He was inquiring about having those things available for sale in April. I shared with him that there's no activity around the board. At this time, the board is not interested. He shared with me the next timeline would be October of 2021. However, there's some preparation that needs to be done with that. So with that interest in those letters and with it being a valuable piece of property for East Cleveland Public Library, we have 2 board members that have been interested in being part of the wellness check. And starting a conversation with the board on our plans and next steps for those resources. So that's my story, Mr. Severa.
I'm trying to find the email you sent me. Let's see.
Pull that up on my phone.
Okay, here it is. Just so you know, Miss McDonald, the collection includes letters for George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, William Harrison, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses Grant, James Garfield, and a host of collection of other letters, including Theodore Roosevelt, President Harding, Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, President Truman. So we have a good collection of a number of different communications between private citizens to these past presidents. And my thought personally was that if my goal is to at some point or another see a museum established for the East Cleveland Library, and this collection could be a nice centerpiece to development of a collection. But a part of that process, when we look at a major project down the road, maybe looking at how we're going to upgrade our physical archives infrastructure to be able to house our own collection and any other collections from notable East Clevelanders or Ohioans that we want to begin to go after and collect. So that's kind of just a brief overview. Mr. Latimer, if you'd appreciate, if you would send a copy of that email over to Ms. McDonald.
I will do that right now.
So she can have it to review as well. Absolutely.
Okay, it's a conversation. It's multiple emails, so.
Yeah. So hopefully this kind of bring you up to speed on where that is, and we can, as future conversation with the Finance Committee, and talk about the collection in terms of where we see it as an asset of the library and how we want to handle that asset.
Yeah, based on the information I've seen in our collection, it is our most expensive asset owned by East Cleveland Public Library.
Without a doubt, probably the most prestigious for sure.
Yeah, that's quite impressive, and I'm sure I really like the idea of making it like a museum, or because it can definitely become an attraction to East Cleveland overall, which would help phenomenally with the city. So that's great news.
So like I say, you'll get Mr. Latimer sent you the information, so get a chance to digest it, and we can kind of talk further about it, as we go forward through the year.
Good. Wanted to share that this is a very important asset to East Cleveland Public Library, and definitely the board being responsible for all of our assets. Definitely a strategic approach to this matter will be greatly appreciated to our leadership team.
Thank you. Thank you again for your effort to stay on top of it and to make sure that we don't lose sight of this valuable asset. Thank you again. Okay, any other questions, comments from anybody on that? If not, we'll just move on to the next item. Mr. Cockfield, you want to kind of go over your your workshop?
Yes, thank you. Yesterday, I participated in a webinar that was conducted by the Attorney General's office, Ohio Attorney General's office, having to do with Sunshine Law and records retention. And I found it very interesting. For whatever it's worth, it was the kind of thing, it was the kind of webinar that you could, you could get it up on your computer, on your screen, and walk away, and 3 hours later come back and turn it off, and then get credit for participating. But surprisingly, I found it very, very interesting, and it really captured my attention, and I sat in for the entire 3 hours. And there were a couple of takeaways that I thought were very important, and one of which was the fact that we need to put together a record retentions policy. We had one. It's part of one of the manuals I have here, but it certainly needs to be updated and clarified. It also shed a lot of light on what happens if there's a public records request, which I thought was also very interesting. But I think we're on top of that, and it's certainly one of the things that the auditors look for. They look for our log. One of the things they ask for is our log for public records requests, and they also asked whether or not we had received certifications. I mean, meaning that had we recently participated in a in the webinar to be updated on sunshine on the sunshine laws. So these are two items that are part of the audit that certainly myself and Mr. Latimer are going to adhere to. But just in general, I think it's an excellent thing for all of the board members to kind of sit in on if you have an opportunity. As I said, it's a 3 hour presentation, but I believe it's just well worth it. Just for the sake of having the knowledge of what the laws are saying, and what constitutes a legitimate records request, whether or not you have to adhere to it, what kinds of things can be supplied or not supplied, why not. Again, I thought it was very, very helpful, and that's basically it. That's basically it. I will be coming back to the Finance Committee with some kind of a recommendation for how we should proceed in terms of putting that policy together, or if you, Mr. Silvera, feel that a committee would be more warranted, that's fine too.
I think if you can go back into the records. I know we did one. We did have a records policy meeting back in 2014 when I was on the board the last time.
Okay.
Because we put together after we went down to Cincinnati for the OLC conference. And so if you kind of look back through those records around the end of the year, we had a meeting where we did those things. So hopefully you can find some of that information there, then we can kind of update from that point. I don't know if there's been any other records meeting, end of the year records meetings with the board since that period.
No, not since I've been here. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Silvera.
Yes.
I'm willing to take on that project. Actually, I started the process, but my computer crashed and I saved all my stuff on the hard drive, and I should have saved it to the cloud. So I lost a lot of my documents.
Okay.
But I'm pretty much comfortable with starting the process, working with Ross, and
Okay.
bringing a recommendation to this committee.
Okay. Okay. Let's shoot for our next meeting, having that on the agenda to do that.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's all I had. That's
Okay. Ms. McDonald, do you have anything that you want to add or any questions you have?
No, I would just like to, to say that I can also assist with that, with some of the things that I know from working with records retention with accreditation bodies and so forth. So use me as a resource, and we can work together and get this done.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Whatever input you have is certainly more than appreciated.
So I'll
Thank you.
start off. I'll start off with a starting point, a draft, a starting point. We'll pull what we have and we'll forward it over, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Okay. And what I'll do, I think I still have some of my information from the last time I was on the board. So I'll go through my record and see if I can find what I had, and then make sure I'll forward it over to you too as well. Just to
Okay.
make sure, just to make sure we tie the noose. Because I
Okay.
think because I remember we specifically put that together when we came back from Cincinnati for that year. So it definitely should be board records for that.
Okay. Well, I'll take a look.
Okay. Okay, great.
I'll take a look and see if I can find it.
Okay, great. Do we have any audience participation? Anybody in the audience, Mr. Turner?
As of now, no, we do not.
Okay. Mr. Latimer?
Oh yeah, I want to share that the workshop that Mr. Cockfield, he shared that out to myself. So I'll be the next one on staff to take it. Hopefully I'm going to schedule myself within the next 2 weeks.
And I would also recommend if you could send that information to all of the board members. And, you know, because we can actually try to do it on whenever we have the time available to go ahead and each of us take advantage of that opportunity to get that education. So, but just please pass it on to the rest of the other board members as well.
I will.
If there's no any other business, then we can adjourn this meeting at 5:53.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. McDonald. Thank you for being able to come into the meeting.
Yes,
And,
thank you.
Have a safe drive to where you're going and when you get back.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Mr. Turner, Mr. Latimer, and Mr. Cockfield.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Very welcome.
All right.
Take care.
Have a good
Thank you.
evening.
All right. Take
Okay.
care.